welcome to this debriefing session and congratulations on scoring a 710. It's a really good score, and I know you were pissed because you hoped for a 730. You messed up a bit on the quant side of things, but excellent score on verbal, really good score on quant, and good overall score. So as we were discussing earlier, your journey more or less is confined to about 6 to 7 weeks of preparation, which is where you put in those 3 to 4 hours a day preparing. So let's kind of rewind to the beginning of those 6 to 7 weeks. And you said this was after your birthday on 31st of August. You said you promised yourself, I'm going to give myself the gift of a good score. So how did you plan your preparation from that?
Well, as I told you before, like I knew that quant was gonna be my strong section. So I knew that I had to improve a lot on verbal. So since I knew that, I started with quant because I wanted to get rid of quant as soon as possible. I wanted to know that I was gonna be like done. Then I started like to do the course, the quant course, very fast. And I stopped on the key points that I saw that maybe it was not like I didn't do the questions as fast as I want to in the other ones, which were, as I said before, the ratio ones, the speed, the mix, like the mixtures about how alcohol, water. And then when I was feeling comfortable with those type of questions around, let's say 10 days, I felt that I was all in. I was using also the official guide, 2018, I think that I was using. And I was following the questions that you guys said. So what I did was like, I was doing all the course, and then if I felt I was strong at some topic, then I started to do as soon as I could the questions, the official questions, and also the practice ones. That the ones I was focusing more was because the practice ones I was getting like a pretty good score, but then I was concerned that maybe in the official question I was not going to. But I saw that the level was similar, and when I was feeling comfortable, finally I was able to say, okay, I'm all set with quant. Let's go to verbal, and then it's when the real preparation started for me. I think it was around.
So the thinking was, let me get my strengths out of the way. Let me perfect my strengths. And you spent about 10 days on quant overall. And I'm looking at your course attempt as you're doing this as well. And I can clearly see you focused only on certain areas where you felt you needed help. And if I go into your course, I know it's expired right now. But
I did, but I tried to do the whole course.
Yes, but in this case, I see you've done a lot more of number properties here, for example. You've done almost 87% of the course. Good scores here, by the way. And then I think geometry is another piece where you did about 2/3 of the course over here. Again, good scores in concept quizzes, practice quizzes. Good scores, not great, but I think that's where a lot of the learning happened. But when I look at word problems, you focus more on practice quizzes because you probably knew the concepts already.
Yeah.
And similarly on algebra, practice quizzes because you probably knew the concepts already. Again, good scores in practice quizzes. I really like that. It again shows that you knew the concepts over here. And on advanced topics, again, most of it you actually focus on application files and practice quizzes. And again, so that's good because you knew what's your strength and you focused on actually just on those areas, which what we call as mastering application and then refining to perfection. And that's where you said after this, you took the mock test, you were scoring a Q50 consistently.
Yes. Okay. Consistently on almost three of them. Like the last three, I was doing Q50 always.
Okay. So then you moved on to verbal. How did you plan your verbal preparation?
I followed the course.
Okay.
That's really it because I knew that you guys were smarter than me about the GMAT preparation. Like, the test, you have been like, I know that you have aced the test. Also, you have been in this industry for a long time. And I tried to, like, at the beginning, I tried to do the same that I was like doing on Quant. And then he said, no. There's a reason why I'm like doing the course, what I paid the course, I'm gonna follow the course because it's very like the structure, I think it's perfect. So I started doing the course, and then I got to the modifiers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very long section. The
It
modifiers is so long. So I felt bad with myself because like the ones that I was doing before, I was like, okay, I'm doing great.
within a day,
The questions,
you were doing, yes.
yeah, within a day, yeah. And then I was in modifiers and was like, oh, I'm not advancing at all. But then I saw the modifiers was, I don't know, maybe for me it was the most important part of the whole verbal.
Yes.
Because if you understand modifiers, if you don't understand modifiers, you're gonna get lost on most of the questions of verbal, especially on sentence correction. That was the section I was not good at. I was pretty good at critical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I was really good at critical thinking. I think that that one was the one that I didn't even like study.
Yes.
I was good, not super good, but I was good at the reading passage. And then I was like, I was feeling comfortable. But then sentence correction, it was like 50-50. And almost all the times I was feeling that I was not sure of the answer. And it was the first time in my life that I felt that. Actually, that's why I decided after I did the practice part that you guys give to the new people, when I saw that verbal on sentence correction, I was like, I don't know this. I need this. That was the moment that I said, I'm all in. I'm gonna pay for e-GMAT. I didn't want to pay for a course because I thought that I could do it by my own. But I tried to practice like 1 year ago by my own, and I didn't know what to do, where to go, what to learn. So because of you guys, I had an organized finally list of topics that I had to follow. And even those things that I thought that I knew, I was surprised that I was learning new things. Like, for example, when you give the list and you use like this, and it's a normal English mistake.
Yes.
And I was like, oh yeah, that works for me. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh cool, super cool. This is something that I will never forget in my life. So that's how I saw my verbal preparation when I finally was able to do it. It was not about the studying for the test. It was studying for me, for my life.
Learning things.
Yeah, I learned a lot of things, a lot. So when I finally was over the modifier section, I felt that when I finally, not only that I finished the section, but also when I was comfortable with the concept, then I felt that the rest of the exam was easy. And that's the moment in which that I...
So a couple of things over there. So I think what you're saying is some very pertinent, but let me also, when I look at this, I'm looking at your course again, very good scores over here. And let's go into modifiers. I see good time spent in a lot of activities over here. And I can truly see, barring this one practice file, you've really aced modifiers. And after that practice file too, you did good in application file too. And then in parallelism, you did a pretty decent job over here in parallelism practice. So initially when you tried to study sentence correction, and you're someone who's from a top Columbian university, you're an economist, you've always been a topper, you had a summa cum laude in your undergrad. But you felt lost with sentence correction, and then you did the course. And after you did the course, how did sentence correction feel to you?
Right. I actually felt because of my confidence in sentence correction, I was able to ace the GMAT. Because before, every time I met with the sentence correction section, I was struggling and I was spending a lot of time. And I know that on average, from the three sections that you got on verbal, the sentence correction is the one that you have to do fast. That's the one that's gonna give you time for the other ones, for the critical thinking. And then I was like, I am really good at critical thinking and can't believe that the easy one is gonna be the one that's gonna back my score. So when I finally felt comfortable, I actually ended the verbal section with 2.5 minutes.
Man,
for me,
only if you could push that time to Quant.
Yeah, I will have a 7:30. Yeah,
yes.
I felt that. I was like, I can't believe never happened to me. It never happened. Even on the mock test that I took 3 days before, I was missing time in my verbal section. But I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was because of my confidence. I don't know if like it was because it had been like 3 days in which I have tried to stop like pushing myself and like relax and do a good exam. I was like, because like you can be like stressed before doing the GMAT. That's not work. Like that's not gonna work. Also, I'm from Cali, Colombia, and I had to travel to Bogota because they don't have the test here. So that's why I was not able to like redo it when I did my quant mistake. If it was here, like the next week, I would have been doing the test because I had all my preparation. So I had to travel. I had to take a flight. I had a lot of things like on me. I was stressed, and then I have to be confident with myself and with the knowledge that I got because of e-GMAT. So that's what I did, and like during the test, I felt very comfortable. Actually, before I tried to be like very sure about the answer because that's how I am. Like I want to be 100% sure that the answer that I'm giving. But on GMAT, that verbal section, you have to have confidence in yourself because you don't have time to rethink.
Yes.
You have to read
And you can't
slow.
doubt yourself because if you take that doubt from one question to the other, that's when all the time goes away. That's when
Yes, sir.
you start you're losing focus at that point in time. So
Yes, sir.
Pedro, there's one question that I have. So I see that you've gone through the sentence correction course really well. How much beyond this course and beyond doing the official guide, did you do any other practice?
No.
No, that was it.
No, that's it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. And I can really see that because the scores are good. You really build that strong foundation and you did the official guide questions, which is really good. So which mocks did you take?
Which marks? What do
Which
you mean?
mock tests? The official?
Oh, the official ones.
The official
I
one.
paid for I did the two official tests and then I paid for two more.
Okay, and so you took all four?
Yeah, so I got a 640 in the first one, then I got a 690, then a 690 again. And then on the last one, I got a 740, something like that. On the
Wow.
last one. Yeah.
So
It was the
Q50
last one.
40.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's when I said, I am ready. In that moment, I paid for the GMAT. I was like, I'm all in.
Okay.
I'm ready. Because at the beginning of my journey, I saw the 700. I felt it was so hard. Even when I was scoring the 690, I was so discouraged because between the first 690 and the second 690, it passed like 2 weeks. And I felt I have improved a lot. And then when I did the mock test, I found out that I haven't. And I was like, I don't know what's going on with me. I don't understand. And I was so discouraged. And it was only like 3 weeks before my actual test.
So what did you do in those 3 weeks after the
I kept my track. I didn't leave my stress or my emotions to take me away. I felt comfortable with what I was doing. I knew that was the path that I had to follow. I just keep pushing myself. And I think that the difference was that at the end, the last 12 days of my preparation, I was able to just focus on practicing. Like I finally knew that I actually like had all my knowledge on me,
the knowledge
and that what I was
there,
missing.
You have to just refine it.
Yes, what I was missing was to use it on a practice mode, on the test and all that. And that's when I did all the OG questions, and that's the result that I got. So yeah.
So a couple of other questions then.
Yes.
So you said you took out 4 hours to prepare for the GMAT every day in those 6 weeks. How did you do that? When would you study?
Early in the morning and late after work.
So did you have like a time slot assigned?
Yeah, I had to because I work. So I woke up at 4 or 5 p.m. At 4 or 5 a.m. Actually, I had the 2 alarms. It depended on how I felt. So I always tried to do it at 4, but sometimes I felt that I was not going to be able to have a good performance in my study. So it didn't make sense to wake up at 4 if I was not like on myself.
You're not
like
focused,
ready.
yes.
Yeah, so I felt that. So sometimes at 4, sometimes at 5, I studied until 7 a.m. Like most of the days. Then I had my whole day, and then I came back and I studied in the night, like on the night, like at around 7 or 8 p.m. until I felt tired.
Okay.
Because in that moment that you feel tired, I always try to do 4 or 5 hours a day. But when I felt tired, I stopped. I started watching TV and I went to sleep because I knew that the next day and that was I was gonna start over and that it's gonna be more wise to rest than to keep pushing myself until 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. when I was not gonna be able to start because I actually tried once and then I passed from having on the practice mode of the official guide, let's say uh, 18 out of 20 or 19 out of 20 or 17 out of 20 from the quantitative part, and one day I did 12 out of 20. I was like, no, I'm tired. I need to, yeah, I'm because that the only thing that's gonna like do for you is that you're gonna get discouraged. So I understood that, and I kept my track doing that. Waking, like I'm an early person, so it was not a big deal to wake up early.
Okay, that's good to know. I mean, these are really little things that matter. Now, one other thing, to be able to do this, I mean, to be able to wake up early, study those 2 hours, to be able to come back, study those 2 hours, did you make any changes to your daily routine? I mean, like, did you give up on workout, or did you start ordering more food from outside? Did you do anything that gave you those extra 4 hours during the day?
I started to eat more at home, actually,
Okay.
because I had less time to eat out. So I started to eat healthier.
Okay.
Um, and also I had to reduce a little bit my workout because I was
Just a
waking
little bit.
early.
So.
Yeah, just a little bit. I was able to do some, but my focus was I'm gonna ace the GMAT. So I had to like reduce a little bit the exercise and eat healthier, which
You can't
actually worked.
completely give up on it. You're a professional salsa dancer. You're a
No,
university level basketball player. So
no. I kept dancing. I am still a professional dancer actually. So
no, that's good. That's good. Good for you. So
yeah,
so
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
so now let's talk about what you want to do. And your target schools are Harvard. You want to do a joint degree over there. Wharton, Stanford, MIT, and Columbia. Why these schools?
Well, I am an economist and international negotiator, so I have like my passion has always been to work for the public sector. But then I had this my I had like a 6 months. It's called internship in Colombia, but it's not actually an internship because for you guys an internship is like a 2 month thing that maybe you
Yes.
go 2 or 3 times. For us, it's a 6 month. It's a full time job. You have to go 8 hours. So I did it at Colgate. And even though I like it, it was kind of I want to do something for my country. So that's why I passed and then I started working at the Economic Development Office. And we did the first public policy of economic development. We have done like we did great advances, and I think that our contribution was really good because it was the first time that Cali had an economic development office after 17 years. So just that you know, Cali is like a 2.2 million like
Oh, okay.
people. Yeah, I mean, like we have 2.2 million of inhabitants. It's a big city. It's the third most important city of Colombia, and I don't know how they were doing the economic decisions here. So I always have had the thing in my in my life that I want to have a professional path that actually involves the two sectors, and that's why I want to do a joint degree. I think that in order, like in my work, I learned that if you really want to ace the problems of the economy, you need to understand the private. You need to, because most of the times what I saw was that policymakers, they were doing what they thought it was the best, but actually that was not the best for the private sector. So we were able to create an advisory council of economic development that actually took the academia, it took the private sector and the public sector all together. And then I realized how important that dialogue platform was. And I want to be part of that. I want to be able to address public policies that aims to foster the competitiveness of the country as a whole, in order to improve social mobility and reduce inequality. That's like my
Okay,
goal in
so
life.
that's good. That is good. So I understand HBS, HKS, perfect fit over there, right? Um, how do I mean, but how do you explain Stanford or MIT in this?
Well, to be honest, I want to do like since the beginning, I wanted to do an MBA. That's why I did the GMAT, and that's why I focus on the GMAT. I have dreamed with I have had the dream of an MBA on a top school, especially on Harvard. That's my top since I was, I don't know, like 20 years old. Since I was in my undergrad, I did research. I was reading the Harvard Business Review. Like I've
Mhm.
been involved into that. I want to be part of that. I want to have long-lasting relationships with these people, which is what you have on the MBA. But you never know if Harvard Business School gonna say yes or no. So that's why Stanford, MIT, and Wharton comes, because actually I can do the joint degree with those three universities as well.
Okay,
So
then my other question, why don't you have a GSB Chicago, which has more economists than any other school does?
because you can't do the joint degree, that's why.
You can't do the
And that's
joint
why
degree.
I'm and
What
that's
about
why I'm not doing
Yale?
Columbia anymore.
What about
Sorry?
Yale? What about Yale?
You can't.
But what if you were able to, you mean it's a public policy and MBA, is that what you're really going into?
Yes.
Okay. But what if you
MPP and
could take
MBA.
the courses? I mean, is the degree more important or are the courses more important?
The thing is that I feel that if I don't do the joint degree, then I'm gonna sacrifice a lot of MBA courses doing the political like thing, which I don't want to. I
I,
really
I,
wanna
I
take.
I would very strongly recommend that you reach out to these schools just because, I mean, with GSB, Chicago, I mean, they do a lot of this research that you are interested in. And then with Yale, it's a school that's always been known for public policy also. So I mean, both these schools, I mean, also have a, I mean, they essentially have the right kind of uh, education. What's the right word? I wouldn't call it the word pedagogy, but I mean, they have the right paradigm in there within the university, within the school itself. They may not have the degree that you're looking for, but I'm sure they have the courses that you're looking for. And
Okay,
then
I will.
you may be able to add extra credits. I mean, necessarily, you don't need to do an MBA just with 64 credits. You can always take 74 or 80 credits to do an MBA and add those courses. So without
Okay.
sacrificing. And
Okay.
that's one piece. The other piece, which is there, is, I mean, an MBA over the last 10 years has been so fluid. I know some schools, so when I did my MBA, the bare minimum was 64 credits, but now I know there are some schools that are giving an MBA with 48 credits. And the delta being that, hey, 48 credit means you're taking fewer courses. And I had the option of actually upping my credits to really say I could do 75 to 80 credits if I wanted to take on more courses. So
Okay.
it just I think just because of what you want to do, Yale
Yeah.
and GSB probably will provide you with the and with a good courses. But and it's also not just about courses, it's also about a cohort that you study with, right? And
Yeah.
the kind of cohort that you would find at Yale and GSB would be a lot more in line with the I mean, Wharton definitely, Harvard definitely great fit. But other than that, I'd really strongly recommend that you look at the courses at these places, not just the degree programs.
Okay. I
So
will. Thank you.
so that's kind of what my recommendation would be. The other piece is, how are you doing your application over here?
I already did my HKS application.
Mm-hmm.
Actually yesterday. That's why I had to procrastinate our meeting because I had a lot of I think that I rescheduled the meeting like 3 times
Yes, I
because I
could see
didn't want
that.
to
Yes.
because I didn't want to miss the opportunity to talk to you, and then I felt that it would be disrespectful and dishonest to be maybe like talking to you and concerned or whatever because
And
yeah,
that's
like my head in other place. So that's why I said, you know what, just take it to December the 4th, one day after you do the HKS application. Today, all my day, I went to work and then I have been chilling. I spent time with my family. I went to have an ice cream. I have been like I was cool. Now I'm talking to you. Like I am relaxed. Tomorrow I have to keep like working.
So how are you
So
doing on these applications?
I thought actually I didn't want to find a consultant, but then I was able to talk to three HBS, actually two HBS and one HKS students from Colombia,
Wow.
and they all yeah I was lucky, and all told
I
me
would call you
like
resourceful.
however
Resourceful.
I yeah so, and they all told me, I love your profile. You
Mhm.
give me, like, you bring so much to the table. Your dancing, your student council, your basketball, your mentorship, your work at the government, and also in Colgate. You have a mix, and also because you're from a region, so they're
That's
gonna
true.
look at you not from Bogota, like you come from a Cali. I thought that was gonna be something bad, but they told me, no, man, you are gonna be one of a kind, most likely. Because who's gonna compare to a government salsa, a student council mentor, Colombian from a region guy?
Yes.
Which, even though he stayed on a region, he
Mm.
got a 117 on the TOEFL and a 710 on the GMAT. It's you like you showed that even though you stayed in your city, that didn't affect your academic performance, and that your summa cum laude actually shows that you are really good. It's not about the university that's easy; it's because that you are really good. So after talking to them, I was so happy because
Mhm.
I was really concerned about all those stuff. But the three of them gave me the advice: if you don't find someone to like help you in the process,
So they're
then
helping you in the process?
sorry.
They are helping you with the process?
They were help. Yeah, they have been helping me, but they also told me that I should hire a consultant. So I did,
Okay.
and I have worked
No, so who are
with
you
him.
working with?
I'm working with the Square One Prep.
Oh, with Square One Prep. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, that is, so you have the right background. You have the score, which, I mean, it's a bit lower than the median score, but I
yeah.
mean, you're a very unique individual. So I think it's still within range, and your score is not gonna pull you back. The
That's what they told me. The two Colombians of HBS. I was so concerned of my score, and especially because I felt bad with myself. I was like, I know that I can do better, but then they told me they were telling me like, oh, I did the GMAT 5 times. Finally, I scored 710. One of them told me, and then they asked me like, hey, how many times you did it? I was like, one. And like, uh, how much did you see? Like, how much did you get? I was like 710, and they were like, and like it was not like, how do you felt? And then when I told them the story, they were like, no, you're really good and you don't need to do the GMAT. The other guy, I talked with a woman and with a man. The man told me he also got a 710. So it was really like comforting to know that two Colombians got to HPS with 710. So I felt like, oh, I can make it. And the other guy told me like, oh, you should do it again if you have the opportunity and apply to Stanford. The Stanford is harder, but with your profile you can get there. Blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, man, but my dream is Harvard. So if I am okay with my
So
GMAT,
he's right with the fact that, so Stanford is, I mean, is known to be a sucker for high GMAT scores. So yes, I think Stanford definitely, a higher GMAT score would work. But I mean, I've had students get into Harvard with a 710, get into Wharton with a 710. Um, MIT typically requires slightly higher. So for me, when I look at this, MIT and Stanford are two schools which, I mean, which would bother more about your GMAT score. Harvard and Wharton, and I think to a certain degree Columbia, given the special part, your special background would probably be okay with your GMAT score, and then you bring a lot to the table. So I think those are the three schools that I would really kind of bank on. And then if you choose to apply to Yale or GSB Chicago, I think those are the other two schools. Yale with 710, you should be fine. So, so yeah, but any other question that I can answer, Pedro?
Why did you start e-GMAT? That was the first question that I had. Like when and why? Like when did you decide? When did you decide it?
Okay, it's a question that I get asked a lot. So, frankly, when we started e-GMAT, it was just Pyle and I, both of us are passionate about technology, and both of us are passionate about education. And we said we've got to do something more with technology in education. So, and that's kind of where we said we've been working for other people for a very long time, and yes, we don't have any money, but we know our things ourselves. So we knew the test, we knew technology, and really the what we call as a learning pedagogy. We weren't GMAT experts when we started e-GMAT, so we had to teach the GMAT to ourselves. We had to teach how to build courses. We did not build a single course. We were actually not even teachers. Our parents were teachers. So my dad's a teacher, Pyle's mom's a teacher, but we ourselves were engineers. But we when you grow up as sons and daughters of teachers, you kind of get that uh, which has that urge to teach. And then when you learn technology, and you can really say the way we do teaching today is not what it, I mean, technology can do much better. And so we said, is it possible for us to build a system or a learning platform that provides more feedback than a private tutor can, and it's still available at that price, which is mirrors that of a typical book. And so that was the vision which we started e-GMAT with about 9 years back. And since then, what we've been trying to do is invest more in content and technology and perfect this thing in the GMAT space. So over the last 9 years, we've actually pretty much invested most of the money that we've earned back into technology and back into the learning architecture. And we are at this point, um, and we track the effectiveness of our courses compared to that of, let's say, a classroom course, a book, and a private tutor. And I think right now where we are approaching with our learning architecture is that we measure ourselves on about 6 parameters as to how is our performance compared to that of a private tutor, compared to that of a learning of a classroom course. And so I think when it compares to a classroom course, we are actually way ahead on all of those 6 parameters. And when I compare ourselves to a private tutor, we are way ahead on 4. The other two, which is where we're kind of slightly behind that of a private tutor or so, and we're working towards building that. So the vision is, the dream is to really build this learning architecture to be um, better than a private tutor in all respects, and then expand it horizontally across tests. So,
Have you worked with a lot of people from Latin America? Like, do you get a lot of Latins in your course?
so I think the word "a lot" is a relative term,
Sure.
and because South America has been an area where we've had a lot of success. So our students who come from South America, they do really well. But if you think about South America as a proportion of the GMAT test taking population, it's not a big chunk. and,
Yes.
and, and the same shows up on our customer base. So we deal with about 10,000 students a year. Out of that, about 600 to 700 are from South America and Latin America. So I don't know if that's a lot in your terminology, but the nice thing about this is, we people who come from South America and Latin America typically are more mature, and even, I mean, they're not older, but they essentially, I mean, they come, a lot of them come with the same mentality as to, hey, I want to learn. As you really said, I'm weak in this is an area that I want to focus on, and I want to learn. And the nice thing about this is that they come in, they focus on learning this, and they do the course really well, and because they do the course really well, they succeed. And uh, and and, and so I really like people from South America that way. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you watch our success stories, you'd see there are quite a few success stories from folks from Latin and South America, a disproportionate number of them. So in fact, I was just searching for a success story for you, a guy who actually went to Wharton and with a score of 710. So so if you look at this guy over here, so this guy is I think he's from Mexico. He's studying at Wharton right now. He's our student scored 710. I was looking at a 710 scorer because you have a 710. Like, okay, what examples can I find of folks who are at your target schools with a score of 710, and so on and so forth.
Okay, Guillermo Gonzalez Aguada.
Say it
Okay.
again.
Guillermo Gonzalez Aguada. No, I was writing his name.
Okay.
Cool.
So
thank you.
So yeah, and yeah. So and then a bunch of other folks over here that I see on the right are also our students, although they're not directly connected with me. But yes, you know, students, good students from a lot of good students from Latin America and South America join us.
Okay. So do you think, like, the last question is, do you think that I got a shot on the schools that I am aiming?
So I think you have a fair shot. There's something which is there, unless and until you mess up your application. Given your background, given the fact that you are from a top Colombian university, and when you're applying to Harvard, that matters a lot too. You know, and given that your score is in the range, I think you have a fair shot. Now, in the event that you do not get in, I do think that you should get some feedback on your application from Harvard. They might give you feedback, or in the event that they waitlist you, okay, if they do waitlist you, then I would recommend take the GMAT right away.
Take the GMAT right away?
Yes. The only reason
Okay.
if they would waitlist you would be because of your GMAT.
Okay.
That's the only thing you can change anyway.
Yeah.
2 months. Right? You can't change your experience. You can't add a lot of stuff to it. So, but I think for me, when I look at this, I would say you have about a 50 to 60% chance of getting there. And you're working with a top consultant, so I think that makes me happy. What does your consultant say?
No, Catherine she loved the profile, and the first thing she asked me when I told the story was, can you do the GMAT again? And then when I explained her that I had to go to Bogota and all that, she said, like, no way, we are not gonna lose 3 or 4 days on that because we don't have time. So let's work on the application.
So if she said that, then again, I would trust her judgment, and I would just say I think that's kind of where when you're applying to Harvard, HKS or HBS, 50 to 60% chances are really good over there, and so I think if she has a better feel because she knows your application inside out, it's not just about what you've done, but also how you position it. So worst case, they waitlist you, you go take the GMAT again. Okay. I mean, I have seen stuff, for example, with schools where I've seen more of this with Indian students than with Colombian, that they get waitlisted, they actually go take the GMAT again. They don't even have to resubmit their application. They take the GMAT again, they update the score, and the same school that waitlisted them actually gives them admission with scholarships. So again, I mean, the thing with Harvard is if they like the profile, they don't care about the score as much.
Okay.
That's why Harvard has the widest range of GMAT scores.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
So I mean, and that's kind of where I would say Harvard, Columbia, Wharton, I'm much more optimistic about than
Okay.
the other two.
That's the one I want to get. So
yes,
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with my chances. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and do let me know how it goes then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I will know as soon as I know.
Well,
You're gonna hear from me on March or the beginning of
that's
April.
good.
Sure.
That's good. I'll wait to hear from you, Pedro. Any other question that I can answer?
No, sir. Just I'm grateful, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to actually tell you how grateful I am and how much I enjoyed the journey, because it was not about only acing a test that is hard, because it's hard,
Mm.
not only because of the concept that you need to know, but because of the time, of the way they ask you, of the different questions that we'll have, and because of you guys, it was a lot easier. But also, I enjoy it a lot because I learned English, even though I thought that I had nothing to learn really, because I have spent, I think, 13 years in a bilingual school. So as I said, I got a great TOEFL, and then if you get a great TOEFL and you're kind of C2 according to them, and then when you find all these grammar things, and I have some cousins that they are Americans, and then I start sending questions, and they were all wrong. They were like, "Oh, that exam is hard," and I told them, "Yeah, the exam is designed to make Americans fail at it, like not to be a piece of cake." So just thanks a lot. Uh, Thank you for doing e-GMAT and for keep working hard to improve the quality of the service that you're giving and to take the GMAT path throughout all the world. So thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank you very much for your wishes. This truly means a lot to me. And thank you, Pedro. And go get your MBA and do good for Kali.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye. Have a good evening.
Bye. See you.